My name is Ed Limblin. This is my final presentation for MBA616, Capital Markets and Institutions. The professor's name is Igor Glesic, and the subject of my final presentation is Alaska Airlines. Alaska Airlines is an airline headquartered in Seattle, Washington. It has hub cities of Seattle, Anchorage, Portland, Oregon. It also has focus cities of San Jose, Los Angeles, and San Diego, California. Let me give you a little bit of background of the airline aviation industry in the U.S. right now. There are two models that are currently in use. The first is a model that's used by Southwest, where you have a airline that flies from major city to major city. The second type of model is used by Alaska and the legacy airlines of United, Delta, and American. This model uses regional airlines and picks passengers up in smaller cities and moves them to larger hub airports. The passenger then transfers airplanes, goes on a bigger airplane to their destination. For example, if I wanted to fly from Medford, Oregon to New York City, I would jump on the regional partner of Alaska called Horizon. I'd fly from Medford to either Portland or Seattle, jump on a Portland or Seattle-based 737, and fly to New York City. This type of operation is very efficient. It moves lots of passengers to many different places. One of the issues with this type of model for Alaska is because Alaska is predominantly a West Coast company, there's a limited population segment that they can choose from. Yes, the West Coast has a lot of people, but it also has a lot of competition on the airlines. In order for Alaska to grow, it needs to expand its customer base. It needs to add routes. It needs to grow its route structure. Give you a couple of examples. Prior to the 1978 Airline Deregulation Act, the government dictated which airline could fly which route and how much they could charge. After the deregulation of airlines, the government no longer had control, so airlines were able to control their prices and fly the routes they wanted. Eastern Airlines was the second largest airline in the United States in the early 1980s. By 1985 and 86, due to labor strife and the inability to keep market share, Eastern Airlines disappeared. Another airline was TWA. TWA was the predominant world airline. They flew all over the world in their 747s. They're white airplanes with their red tails. By the mid-1980s, TWA is suffering financially. In the late 80s, early 90s, TWA is purchased by American Airlines. Alaska does not want to suffer the same consequence that it went to TWA and it also went to Eastern. In order for Alaska to maintain itself, it needs to grow. The way to grow is by establishing a new hub in a new population center. Looking at how airlines generate revenue, the best way of generating revenue is through the O&D passenger. The O&D passenger means that you originate in one city, you only take one airplane, and you have your destination. The other way that airlines make money off of passengers is by using the connecting passenger through the hubs like you'd use with a regional airline. St. Louis, Missouri is a city that's located in the center of the United States in the Midwest, right on the Mississippi River. TWA used St. Louis as a hub city. However, when TWA was purchased by American with hubs in Chicago and Dallas no longer needed the close proximity of St. Louis as a hub city. So the hub was closed down. Right now, St. Louis is used as a hub by Southwest Airlines. St. Louis International Lambert Airport is a big airport. It has extra capacity. In fact, according to the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, a Terminal A, which is where a lot of gates are that are unused, can be rented out for parties and for conventions and for meetings. St. Louis needs to generate revenue off of those gates. They're doing anything they can to generate revenue. If Alaska were to go in and say, hey, St. Louis, we'd like to make you a hub, they could get some great rates, great costs on the leases for those gates. Let's look at the time frame of what Alaska needs to do in order from St. Louis into Hub City. In May of this year, it was announced that Alaska Airlines was going to buy Virgin America. Virgin America flies Airbus A320s and A321s. They do not have a regional airline partner. The first thing that Alaska needs to do is within the next 2 years, they need to integrate Virgin America into the Alaska culture. When passengers are flying, they're looking for two things: customer service and low fares. That's what Alaska hangs their hat on. Alaska's won numerous awards for their customer service, for their on-time arrival. They are a great airline according to J.D. Power and Associates. What Alaska needs to do in these 2 years is they need to integrate Virgin America and consolidate their route structure. They need to remove routes that are unprofitable or routes that are flown by both airplanes with unused capacity. So they need to right-size the aircraft for the route and fly the correct routes. Within 3 years, what Alaska needs to do is they need to start negotiate with their regional partners. The regional partners of Horizon, SkyWest, and Republic. Great Lakes Airlines that flies in the upper Midwest. Alaska needs to start negotiate with them to get them to fly passengers from smaller cities in the Midwest like Des Moines, Iowa, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Lexington, Knoxville, Abilene, Texas, to St. Louis. When Alaska has the right route structure for their regional partners, Alaska then needs to turn St. Louis into a focus city. The focus city is the first step that has to happen before Alaska turns St. Louis into a hub. A focus city says that St. Louis will be used for 50 flights a day from Alaska mainline airlines, or the 737, or the Airbus aircraft. Alaska needs to turn them into a focus city within 5 years. What a focus city will do is it'll take passengers from the Midwest, move them to St. Louis, they'll fly out of St. Louis, their destination. It will also facilitate the movement of passengers from the East Coast to the West Coast. After St. Louis is used as a focus city, Alaska will have a better idea of how much it's going to cost to operate the hub. They're going to be able to go in and renegotiate contracts with service and vendor providers, negotiate contracts on gasoline, negotiate contracts on underwing operations that will reduce the cost in the future. Within 5 to 7 years, the next step would be to turn St. Louis into the hub for Alaska, which means that more than 120 flights a day would pass through St. Louis. So each year, from the focus city up to the hub city, Alaska is going to need to add 20 to 25 different flights. How does Alaska add those many flights with having a small population base of St. Louis and the Midwest? First, according to the St. Louis Airport website, the two top markets to fly to from St. Louis are Dallas, Texas, and Chicago. Dallas is served by American and Southwest. Alaska would be able to capture market share there. Chicago is served by United, American, and Southwest. Alaska would be able to go in and capture a little bit of market share. But where Alaska really needs to look is the Caribbean. Right now, to fly into the Caribbean, you need to fly out of the East Coast, whether it's LaGuardia with Delta, Charlotte with American, Fort Lauderdale from JetBlue. Alaska can reach the Caribbean, the islands of St. Martin, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, St. Lucia, flying the 737 MAX that they will bring into their service within the next couple of years. By being able to move into the Caribbean, Alaska will be able to right-size the aircraft for the routes. They'll also be able to go in and capture a new market, a market that is underserved by passengers wanting to get from the West Coast to the Caribbean. Alaska does a phenomenal job serving Hawaii. According to the State of Hawaii website, Alaska is the third largest carrier of passengers from the United States, domestic U.S., into Hawaii. Alaska could have this same sort of success when they expand from St. Louis going down into the Caribbean. In conclusion, Alaska needs to grow. They need to increase their route structure for the ability to increase their revenue. If they do not look at incorporating the hub east of the Rocky Mountains within 5 to 7 years, Alaska will start to fade away because they will not have a population base that they can start to go into capture new market share. Again, my name is Ed Lindblom. This is my final presentation for MBA 616.